Hello everybody, my name is Ashley Hunt. I teach the PMP classes here at Stormwind Studios. And I get a lot of questions from people attending the PMP exam prep class about what do I do next? What's the deal with the PMP application? So I wanted to go ahead and answer some of those questions that I get just about every day from people gearing up to take their PMP exam. Very first thing that I can recommend is to go out to pmi.org. If you've already gone out and registered your email and a password, you can just log in. If you haven't, you're going to want to create a login and a password so you can access not only the application, but how to update your professional development units after you pass. So once you log in, you'll want to go to the certification tab. This will be things for all PMP information related. And once you click on that tab, you'll see when you get to this page, a big blue Apply Now button. And that's going to be where you click to start filling out your application. But I also wanted to direct your attention to a couple other things here. Several PDFs, including the PMP handbook, the exam content outline, and any guidance that you might need in addition to the PMP exam. Check out those PDFs. They're searchable, and you can download or print and use them as you need to fill out your application. I also wanted to just point your attention to the fact that the PMP exam is changing November 2nd, 2015. If you plan on taking your exam after November 2nd, you're going to want to click this link to get more information on the changes to the PMP exam. Or you can check out my other blog on what's the deal with the changes to the PMP. Either way, I want to make sure that everything is up to date and you know what those changes look like. All right, let's say you're ready to go ahead and apply. Click that big blue Apply Now button, and when you get into the application, the next question is, what do I need to prove as far as my experience? First thing, college graduate or higher, you're going to need 3 years or the equivalent of 36 months of project management experience. If you're a high school graduate or GED, that goes up to 5 years or 60 months. But here's the catch. You can't be working on overlapping projects during the same time frame and have them count. If you take a look at this graphic from pmi.org and the certification handbook, you'll see that project 1 and 2 overlap for a couple months, which happens all the time. You can count the months on the front end of project 1 and then on the back end of project 2. But anywhere that they overlap, it only counts as one distinct time frame in months. So pick the longest, really. Project 3 is sitting there all by itself, so you can count that for the entire span of time. The second thing that you're going to need to be aware of is how many hours you need. And how do you calculate those hours? Well, same thing. If you're a college graduate or higher, you need 4,500 hours of project management experience leading or directing a project. High school graduate or GED, that number goes up to 7,500. And so what you're going to be doing is assuming a 40-hour work week. And leading and directing doesn't necessarily mean that you're managing the project from beginning to end. Maybe you just worked on the execution piece or you took over a project in the middle. Those hours still count as long as the projects are not overlapping. The third thing that you'll need is a full 35 hours of formal project management education. And here at Stormwind Studios, you get all 35 hours, so you don't need to worry about that. But what they mean by that is that you're sitting in a class learning about best practices that are found in the PMBOK guide. And so I highly recommend that if you haven't already, you take an exam prep class or you take a look at past education history and see, do I have 35 hours of formal project management experience somewhere in my past? Those are the 3 big things. But I did want to go through the timeline because I get questions on, well, once I click apply, how long does it take? So you'll submit your application, which, by the way, may take you a little while to fill out, but there is a save and continue button on the application, which is great because they'll save your application on their servers for up to 90 days. It's not going to take you 90 days. It's going to take you a couple hours if you're prepared. But once you actually submit that application, it takes about 5 to 7 business days for PMI to approve it. Once they approve it, you'll get an email that says, click this link to pay for, and then schedule your exam. So you'll go out, and when you're ready, you'll pay for your exam and you'll gear up to schedule it. Well, if you get another email after the confirmation of payment, chances are you're being audited. 1 out of every 4 applications are randomly selected for audit by the Project Management Institute. If you get audited, it's okay. It sounds worse than it actually is. You'll have up to 90 days to submit all of the documentation that they're asking for. Basically, signatures from your managers, your customers, your sponsors, and so on, stating that yes, you actually did do all of that work, which I know you did. Once you get that information to them, it will take another probably 5 to 7 business days for them to go through the audit materials and approve. Once your entire application is accepted and you go through and you schedule it, you have 1 year after the acceptance of your application to sit your exam. And within that 1 year, you have 3 opportunities to take and pass the exam. You're not going to need 3 opportunities, but you have those 3 available to you. And a lot of times people will say, well, what happens if I don't pass all 3 times? Unfortunately, you have to go back and start the process all over again. But I'm here to tell you, you're not going to need 3 times to take and pass the exam. So hopefully this helped answer some of your questions. Go out to PMI.org, check out all those great links that I showed you, and best of luck filling out your application for the PMP exam. Oh, and by the way, we're going to have a live webinar coming up, so check back for updates on that, where I go much more into detail about the changes of the PMP exam, different things to be aware of on your application, and also, what do I do after I pass? How do I update my professional development units? So hopefully you'll join us for that live webinar and that you enjoyed the information that you found here. Good luck with your application.